The biggest change is around the energy level. There are just so many people who are so revved up.
We have a couple of schools in the board that are really leading the pack, and this is one of them. This is the most exciting time in my entire career.
I'm amazed. I sit back sometimes and I listen to the kinds of conversations that my teachers are having about why we do things. Is that really what's best for students, or is that really what's most convenient for us? If we know what's powerful about student learning, where are the ways that we can infuse technology to really get students connected so they can learn from each other, not just in class, but 24/7. The way I've been describing it lately is I think we had a perfect storm here. It's like the power went down for a little bit, and then once it came back on, we went right back to where we were. Central Peel is an older school for the Peel District School Board. I think we just passed our 53rd birthday, one of the oldest schools in Brampton. The student population right now is around 950 students. And the community has gone through a lot of sort of demographic shifts over time. Every year, at least in the recent past, our school has been sort of identified as a school that has high social risk indicators, meaning that there are a lot of sort of socio-economic challenges that many of our students in the community face. So this is my third year at the school, so I'd say the first year I arrived, the school was suffering from what I would call maybe a lull in self-esteem. Our school had suffered from, I would say, 3 or 4 years of declining enrollment. Student achievement EQAO scores had all been on a declining trend over the previous sort of 3 or 4 years. And the staff here weren't quite sure how to address all of those issues, and the energy level just felt kind of depressed. Our graduation rates were significantly lower than the board average, and at the same time students are telling us that there's maybe a disconnect between what's happening out there, how they're learning outside of school time, and how they're learning inside of school. And then that fueled a 2-year-long conversation about how we would address that. So, I just tried to create an environment which is the culture of yes. It sounds like a small thing, and it's not. It's huge.
We started to see this shift in the staff where people were suddenly working together, and we were happier, and people were just getting along, and we were excited.
The deconstruction of teaching practice and what we think is really effective and powerful about what we do in a classroom just invigorated my whole staff. It's this committee that we've established, and we're calling it CP21, Central Peel 21st Century Committee. And that was a sort of new version of what used to be our computer committee. And the committee grew from 8 people to 30 people kind of overnight.
And then last year, he wanted to have some extra resources around moving our vision forward. So we created this cross-curricular head of instructional technology.
We had some assemblies with students to unveil, I guess, the new framework, and to let them know, to be very transparent with our program and what we're trying to accomplish. For years, we had been telling students, you cannot bring your devices, put them away, we don't want to see them, we don't want to talk about it. And we had a student assembly where the first thing I said to the students was, bring out your cell phones. Let's see what we can do with them.
I think technology is fantastic because it allows students to do so much more than what they were able to do in the past. And I'm not talking about just typing up their essays. They can collaborate with each other or with students in different countries. They can create things that we've never been able to create before. They can get information anytime, anywhere. So technology is beautiful because it allows them to do so much.
I have a lot more options now with the different types of technology with an LCD projector. It was only a few years ago we were still using overheads in some schools. So it has been a lot nicer. And then with the power of internet, we now have Wi-Fi, we have access to everything, even the textbooks. You can ask them, we don't use a textbook anymore in this class. We use all online resources. Students have become a lot more independent in online community. I think that has really empowered students.
Not only do you learn in class, like with the flipped classrooms, you go home and watch your videos and come to school, and that way you can do your homework and ask for extra help, and you actually understand what you're learning.
And it's the good thing about it too is that it's the interaction between the students and the teachers as well. Is that you see more students paying attention in class, you see more students wanting to learn more.
Well, I personally feel like it's easier now because I remember back in grade 9 and back in grade 10. So if we had a test, we pretty much had to study from the book, And for example, in this class, we get to go online and see videos to get better at certain things that we don't like or we're not good at.
What we're seeing is increased student engagement. I'm thinking of one teacher in particular, and she's found that never before would they be seeking remediation so they could get a perfect mark.
Yeah.
And why is this? Well, it's because the way she structures her lessons are more game-like. And so if they don't get a perfect score, if they get a 7 out of 10, that's not good enough.
And how do you know as a teacher whether students are progressing, let's say?
I have seen some increases in marks, doing progressively better. More engaged students, especially online, doing mastery tests and that sort of thing with instant feedback. Each year we've increased the number of labs, which tells me they're capable of handling more labs and less content.
So my role has changed drastically from, I think, since 2 years. Before that it was all talking and lecturing. Now it has changed to now I'm not anymore like sage on the stage, so I'm facilitating them, I'm guiding them, and it's good because I can differentiate my instruction also, and I can give more one-on-one attention.
I think my role is to provide opportunities and tools for these guys to learn at their own pace. That's one of the reasons I like the flipped classroom, because I find they can pause the video, they can watch it again. Every day I can come and see what all the students are up to. I know where they're at in their learning, whereas before I had to wait till the assessment.
When we started, it was hard because we were a few isolated teachers, but now we are creating a culture in the school, and that's extremely important because when kids come to my class and they've been exposed to this method before, they have, oh, we are doing the same thing that I did in X and Y class. I know what it's all about. Is not the element of novelty is not there anymore, and it helps me to jump directly into the topic. So it helps when more people get on board.
Now teachers are much more available to go around and say, what do you need? Certainly at the school level, I'm trying to facilitate or empower the teachers to decide what is most important about their teaching practice and how can I build a structure or a support system around what they're doing. We have invited other schools to come in and to have a dialogue with them about what they're using, what we're doing, what can we learn from each other. I use Twitter now extensively, both my own personal account, and we now have a school Twitter account. It's not about using the gadget per se, but it's about, am I connecting?
The power of collaboration isn't just about sharing knowledge, it's about building relationships. And now we're seeing just a tremendous amount of relationships, professional relationships built between teachers who can share that professional expertise.
We were feeling more in a box before. Now it's creative. We are asking people to be creative. We are asking them to think outside the box. And I think Lawrence has done a great deal to bring his staff along, raise awareness around the power of technology, and someone who thinks outside the box is not afraid to really explore and put this school on the map.
Where we were with the graduation rate has already improved. The 2012 rate was already higher than the 2011 number. So we've already started to move back in that direction. But part of this is going to have to be our sort of belief in the direction that we have, because we know we're hearing it from the students that they're more engaged. I've learned an enormous amount through the conversation in the last 2 years with my staff about teaching and learning. And through this conversation, which started about computers and what do they mean in school, ended up flourishing into this huge conversation about what teaching and learning should be. And the journey that the teachers embarked upon has just totally reinvigorated them.